ARPANET was created for military purposes, to allow sharing and decentralization of information. To put in a nutshell, protocols were created, networks got bigger, cables were connected, and one of the backbones of information sharing was given birth: the Internet. In the 90s, it started growing a lot, with the creation and advent of the World Wide Web, development of browsers and commercial interests. Before we even know this, it was become a major tool for information, entertainment and communication. Now, it's used by over 2 billion people who do not only use the Internet, they make the Internet. And now, you are going to take a look at how they do it. Meet the Internet Explorers.
Much of people's lives is linked to technology and internet, and this has been happening sooner. The ease of access to the network of information by children is amazing.
I use it to read and Facebook.
At this stage, it's very important for the parents to pay attention to what their kids are watching when surfing through the internet.
É importante que toda criança que tem acesso à internet tenha o seu tempo de uso controlado, porque se a internet for usada de forma livre, ela pode ser prejudicial à saúde da criança, por permanecer muito tempo na frente do computador.
The activity that most children like to do is play.
I sometimes play games and cook jogos. Quando eu like to play Minecraft online.
Playing is not restricted to children, though. From kids to elder people, games are already part of people's lives, with day after day games getting more adept. Last year, the PC game industry had earnings of around $18 billion, and it keeps growing. It manages to surpass movie and music trade, and this can be seen on the release day of highly anticipated games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Which sold approximately 9.3 million copies only on the first day. Is it a big number? What about this? People spend around 1.8 years of their lives playing games. Big part of this success is due to the internet's capability of making its users interact extensively with other people around the world through online games.
A factor that helps decide whether a game is good or bad is how interaction among players affects gameplay. For example, in a game where interaction among people makes little to no difference, the game usually gets boring very quickly, while in games where this interaction makes a real difference, there's something else besides killing monsters and getting achievements. There's the growth of a real community, where the games get more dynamic and more interesting, where people even make true friends.
There are currently millions of gamers on massive multiplayer online games, or MMOGs. A genre that notes how much players can contribute to it is make the player's own experience and decisions part of the game. That means it gives the players the freedom and power to build the environment and community that surrounds them, giving the game more dynamicity and realism. This is just an example of one of the main aspects that the internet incorporates in itself. The users are the ones who structure it. In its beginning, the internet was composed only with content to be observed. Nowadays, we not only absorb its content, we also help creating it. This is what keeps this network always evolving and renewing itself, growing as an entity by the collective effort. And this is not only a theory. We can see it in our daily lives.
sites like YouTube.
YouTube, a site created in 2005, is the main way of sharing videos on the web. It's considered one of the best inventions of the world, and it can be used for entertainment, education, and shocking experiences. And it's completely user-made. It's the people who saw it as a tool for showing the world the most varied kinds of videos, free for everyone to enjoy.
E é por isso que eu fiz questão de reunir toda a minha família, menos Luísa, que está no Canadá.
This sentence was enough to get Luisa famous in social networks, especially Twitter. Thanks to this case became a major tool for publicity campaigns or advertisement, as it was a joke well known by a large number of people. This is an example of how social networks are great ways of circulating information, and people tend to get overly attacked then. They can spend many hours just browsing, organizing, and developing their online and personal lives on the network.
Get access to my social networks, have contact with my friends and my family that are living in another countries. The access is more free and fast.
Yes, social networks are a great and useful way of communicating and sharing information, but what's their downside?
There was a research already that said that when we use social networks, we can stimulate friendship. But, on the other hand, some people use it to stop making friends on real life and focus on making friends on social networks. And I think that's kind of bad.
And this isn't the only problem.
I don't like to use internet or social networks. I'm a little bit afraid of being exposed or to expose information's my private life.
Personal data is very important, and social network users as well as their managers must be very careful not to let important or compromised data leak out. Companies pay well for people who manage to find gaps in their security systems, and being such an important subject, security is one of the most discussed themes on the internet. How many times have you had your email cracked or your computer invaded by someone? It's not very uncommon.
My Orkut and MSN account were stolen 2 times each because I did not take care about things like antivirus and phishing. You can never let your guard down.
Invasions and information stealing is difficult to stop, even with the actual security measures present in the sites and email servers. The most important thing when considering security is don't trust everybody. Some people are not reliable, and they will try to convince you to access some sites or to download malicious software. And doesn't matter how protected is your computer or how powerful is your antivirus. If you bring the virus to your computer, sometimes they can't do anything about it. Besides this, invading an email is not so difficult, and you must have a good password to help avoiding that. Brute force programs can discover your password in a matter of minutes if your password is not strong enough. But don't worry so much, the emails have the spam filter, and visit well-known safe sites, good ones, reduce the chance to get a virus. So, when you browse through the internet, be careful, but do not get desperate about it. Okay, it's pretty obvious that security of our data and privacy is one of the top priorities and concerns, and there is still many flaws and problems when you're using the net. It can make us very dependent of it. There is no control over what happens on it. Isolated from the outside world, it's not always safe to use it indiscriminately, and there is still many restrictions and rules that must be obeyed in order to maintain your own safety. However, the internet is a very wonderful and useful tool to be left alone just because it has its own problems. There is a huge list of services and information we can get. We can communicate with each other regardless the distance, get information from the most vast source, entertain ourselves, develop our lives in ways we never did before, create our own content and share it worldwide. Surely, the internet helps us break many barriers, accomplishing many goals which would be impossible without it. It makes us feel active, connected, It stopped being a network of computers to turn into a network of people. There is an infinity of possibilities that lies deep within it, waiting to be discovered. And that's a task for us all. After all, the internet's a place for explorers.